Welcome to the space for transformational leaders to unleash their magic, see better client results, work lighter, and live source. Hi, this is Darla, founder of Sourced, author of Shift the Field. Just raise your prices. This is common advice in the business coaching industry. I've seen it time and time and again where someone is maybe getting coaching at a live event and the coach is learning a little bit of information about the client and they say, just raise your prices. Now, is this good advice or is it not? This depends. So I was talking with a client recently who I said, you got to raise your prices. I know. I said, I know it's not that simple because there's a lot of decisions that go along with this choice to elevate your pricing, but we know we got to get there, right? And she said, yes. And she said, thank you so much for saying that because I can't tell you how many times I've heard that advice, I've gotten the advice, just raise your prices. And I cringe because it's like the person isn't understanding the whole picture. So here's the thing. A lot of people watching this video likely do need to raise their prices. At some level, you probably know that. That's why you click to watch this. It's like, yes, I'm undercharging or I'm overworking or somehow the equation isn't adding up for me to be able to make the money that I want while doing the work I love. And so I need to raise my prices and you know this. Yet, a lot of times people give this offhanded or blanket advice in a way that's so in the wrong place, right? And so triggering then for someone that they shut down to it completely or they feel paralyzed around it. So when is it good advice to just raise your prices and when is it not? If someone has a business model that's working for them, they like the clients that they're attracting, they like the structure of their offerings, and the only thing that needs to shift is the money, it's great. Yes, just raise your prices. You have clients, you like them, they're coming in, there's a whole conversation that so many service-based entrepreneurs have about will they be able to afford it at the next level? Like, that's not your concern. Many of them will, and those that don't, that's really okay. But if the only tweak is, if I just raise my prices, everything else is working great, then that's good, solid advice, and you need to do that. A lot of times, there's many other decisions that have gone along with someone's choice to price in a certain way. And if that's the case, I like to address the whole big picture. So if you're working with clients and they need to raise their prices, but maybe there's something else going on too, like give yourself the space to transform that before feeling like you have to go right in to raise your prices. And I find that a lot of people, in these coaching scenarios, it's like the coach says raise your prices and gets everybody excited about raising their prices and having more money and all of that. But it is kind of a shortcut to actually getting the person aligned for it. So they leave and they say, okay, I'm going to raise my prices, but they never do. And then they never do, and then they never do. So on the other side, you want to look at what does that person need to transform first to be the person who can receive that money? And then what does that mean for their business model? A lot of times someone's business model is not actually set up in a way that they love it and just raising their prices would solve things, right? It's like, okay, giving me more money to work in a way I don't love isn't going to fix it. And in fact, a lot of times they actually need to change who their audience is in order to raise their prices, right? Because and these things go hand in hand. Whatever needs to be transformed, likely will free them internally to be able to see that they can serve a higher level audience that's willing to invest at a higher level. In other words, a lot of times it's like our dysfunction that causes us to pick our ideal client or our target audience because we want to save everybody. We think we need to take everybody with us. We want to help people who we perceive as broken because we don't trust ourselves to be able to help people who are already whole and successful. And so a lot of times this stuff needs to shift in order for someone to be in energetic alignment with serving the audience that's going to pay them the higher price. So this advice that says just raise your prices, it can be really amazing. I remember I was in a mastermind and our very first assignment was make 10,000 more than you made last month. Well, the month before I had made 1,000. So the idea of making 10,000 more seemed impossible. But without that idea, I didn't do it. I didn't make 10,000 more, but I made like 5,000 more, right? Which would have been unheard of from my consciousness at the old level. So raise your prices is amazing advice. And we want to look at how can this person be free and in energetic alignment with receiving that money. So sometimes this advice causes someone to go in this journey. With the client that I was talking with who knew she needed to raise her prices, but she also knew the structure of her business was not quite right. She had a membership that was a low ticket that needed to be transitioned into a higher ticket. Her middle offer was like kind of funky and it wasn't actually fun for her. So she needed to actually get rid of that offer. And that was what was going to make this newer offer more appealing. And so there were a few pieces of her business model that needed to shift for her to show up fully in her magic and therefore feel good internally about receiving that money. And that work is so amazing and it's so exciting because there is a divinely aligned sourced business model that gives you the money that works for you, that makes sense for you, and allows you to show up where you love every client, you love all the work you're doing, and you're not in lack, right? It is possible, it is available. What has been your experience with this? Have you ever been given the advice, just raise your prices, and it rubbed you the wrong way? Have you ever been given the advice, just raise your prices, and it actually really inspired you to do the inner work to raise your prices? Or have you raised your prices and it was easy? And I'm curious if anyone has actually just raised their prices and they got more clients or their conversion increased because the price was actually aligned with what you were already giving. I'd love to hear. Please post in the comments and let me know. Also, look below this video. I have a program called the Sourced Magic Business Model where we really look at your business model and what you're charging and make sure it's all aligned with how spirit wants to work through you at this time. So I'll put a link for that below. Thanks so much. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.